Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Now, isn't that a man from the northwest that has led us front, sideways, backwards, and even with a busted knee has made sure he's here today to get the message out of why we should be leaving the European Union. I'm proud to be Paul's colleague, and I'm proud to be here today. Thank you very much, Paul. Fear, negativity, falsehood. These are the three key words of those who want to remain in the European Union. Did you not hear it today? David Cameron saying that if we left the European Union, the camps that are in France at the moment would actually move towards the United Kingdom and set up base in Dover, in Folkestone. That we would have boatloads of people coming across the waters and that we wouldn't be able to turn them back. Well, we know that is a lie. We know that he is delusional, as he said in the Mail over the weekend, because we know that he is trying to frighten the British people to stay in the European Union. And I know that the British people no longer listen to their falsehoods, no longer listen to their lies. We aren't frightened of leaving the European Union. We welcome leaving the European Union. We see a brighter world outside of the European Union, and that is why we will vote to leave the European Union. Because David Cameron only has that, doesn't he? He says that we won't be able to defend ourselves if we leave the European Union. We won't be able to trade with Europe if we leave the European Union. We won't be able to stand on our own nation if we leave the European Union. No doubt, he suggests that dinosaurs will walk past across the streets if we leave the European Union, that we'll have plagues of locusts if we leave the European Union, and that Noah is no doubt coming down the road outside Bolton in the rain at the moment. And if you saw a programme on David Politics only last week where I was up against David Lammy, the Labour MP. The Labour MP, when I was suggesting that those who are black and ethnic in this country have a reason to leave the European Union too. Their grandfathers, or in the case of the Indians, 2.5 million fought alongside people like my grandfather in order to leave and defeat a European dictator. They put their lives down on the line to ensure freedom in Europe, freedom for their friends and families and colleagues in the United Kingdom. And as Paul has said, how disgusting and how shameful we have been to the Commonwealth in the way that we have treated them since we joined the European Union, by the way that we restrict their access to our country when others don't. And what did David Lammy say? He said that 1 million of them died for the European project. Well, it is shameful, sir, indeed. And what do we say about David Lammy? They've actually created a phrase for him now. It's called doing a Lammy, because Neil Armstrong wanted to stand on the moon because of the European project. Jeff Hurst did a hat-trick against Germany for the European project. Marilyn Monroe's skirt flitted up because of the European project. But again, it goes down to the factor that that is all they have. They want to frighten the British public. But we know where the battle lines have been drawn. It's grassroots versus the establishment. It's big business versus small business. It's people who believe in this country against those who want to put this country down. It's politicians who put their career ahead of the country. It's positivity versus negativity. And it's truth versus fear. So I'm saying to you, ladies and gentlemen, we must not let them cloud the debate, as they will continue to try and portray Britain in chaos outside of the European Union. We must continue to knock on doors, speak to our neighbours about what Britain can be and must be: patriotic, proud and prosperous. The Britain we know, the Britain we love. And I believe that the Britain that we have is a better, fairer and stronger place as an independent Britain, sitting at the heart of the G7, the G20, the UN Security Council, NATO and other international bodies. fifth or sixth largest economy in the outside, that we know that we can survive outside of the world, that we will thrive outside in the rest. And Nigel and Paul will tell you this debate is not just about migration and Britain's role in the 21st century. It's about protecting our culture, ensuring our prosperity, regaining our freedom, and keeping ourselves secure from ever-increasing dangers in the world. And it's your job as well as mine to go out there and persuade the British public that Britain is the safest choice for them and their families. For me, nothing else matters more. Freedom, liberty, justice. They roll off the tongue so easily, don't they? That many of us forget the meaning or why it's even there. And they're taken for granted by so many in this country, including those politicians who seem to want to give it away so easily. As Ronald Reagan, the ex-president of the United States, once said, freedom is never more than one generation away from extinction. We didn't pass it to our children and our bloodstream. It must be fought for, protected, and handed on for them to do so the same. And that is why I joined UKIP. That is why this movement is so important, because I wanted to fight and campaign against the ongoing suppression of our nation. Freedoms from the European Union, freedoms to control our border, freedom to control our own currency, freedom against the suppression of a superstate. Our freedoms are being eroded by the European Union, and we say no, no, no. And like you, I stood up. I stood up because others before me stood up. Like my grandfather who fought in the Second World War to remove ourselves of a European dictator. Because they believed that every man and woman had the right to freedom in this nation. They believed that every man, regardless of their creed, their colour, their sexuality, or their beliefs, that freedom is an intrinsic part of who we are and what makes this nation great. And in standing up, they established the values and principles of this great nation that we believe in today. Parliamentary democracy, the rule of law, habeas corpus, the right to know your accuser. That is what we are campaigning for. And it's times like this that we must all come together.